right. I'm going to go ahead and get started. Just to be mindful of time, I want to give us enough time to get through the material. Before we really get started, I'm going to have Cynthia Rodriguez, our outreach manager, just kind of check in and see if there's anyone who needs translation services. So, Cynthia?
Hola, antes que empezamos, nada más queríamos saber si hay alguien que le gustaría servicios de traducción. Si le gustaría servicios de traducción, sí, por favor puede notar ahí en chat y podemos darles más información sobre siguientes pasos. Gracias.
All right. Okay, so my name is Kathleen Barron. I'm the Senior Programs Manager at Austin Parks Foundation. Welcome to the Austin Parks Summit Series. Today, we'll be having a training, the Healthy Parks Plan Tool Training. We have Kristin Weil from the Trust for Public Land who will be conducting the training. Before I hand it off to her, I just want to kind of do a few housekeeping items. First of all, this will be recorded and it will be posted online, so you have a reference afterward, and can also share it with others who might have missed out today. It'll be at austinparks.org/parks-summit, and that's where all of our sessions, our recorded sessions, are posted afterward. So anything you've missed in the past, you can check out then, and you can also see what's coming up. During this, it is an interactive webinar style, so we won't be able to see you all while we're talking, but you are able to use the Q&A function and the chat function to communicate with us, either to ask questions about the material, or if you're having any technical difficulties, I'll be manning that the whole time, and if I can't help you, then I'll escalate it to Kristin to see if she can help, since she's very familiar with the tool. And so you'll be able to use those functions. And then also, if you want to be able to talk, you can raise your hand and I can allow you to talk. So if you'd like to say something out loud as opposed to writing it. So there's lots of different ways you can communicate throughout. We really encourage you to ask questions and to interact and work with it. But there's also going to be opportunities throughout to do these sort of exercises and be able to ask questions. So if there's something really immediate that you need, feel free to use chat or Q&A, but you can also wait until there's sort of the natural pauses and times when we're working through the exercises. So without further ado, I'll hand it off to Kristin.
Great, thank you. Hi everyone, my name is Kristin Weil. I work with the Trust for Public Land. I'm going to walk us through our decision support tool today, and I hope that everybody finds it informative. The kind of the format that I'm going for is I'll be actually, let me just share my screen. We'll start there. So hopefully everybody can see my screen right now. Oh wait, not quite there. Okay. So this is a decision support tool training for the Healthy Parks Plan decision support tool that was developed recently by some collaborators and funded by St. David's Foundation. I'm going to be kind of going through this. I'd love to get a sense of everybody who's on the call. So if people are willing to raise their hand and introduce themselves, that'd be really awesome. And then I'll step through some slides that give kind of the background of the tool and what all is in there. And then we'll be doing a format of, I'll be sharing some slides describing the decision support tool, and then we'll do a live demo of the tool and then an exercise, and we'll kind of go through that 3 times in this call so that everybody has a chance to get oriented with the tool and also play with it themselves. So let's go ahead and do introductions.
Okay, I'm going to allow folks to talk that have raised their hands. All right, Mike.
Hey everybody, I'm Mike Valescu, and I've been playing in parks in the Austin parks for over 35 years now, and I'm looking forward to this.
Thank you, Mike. All right, Celia.
Hi, I'm Celia Hughes. I'm the Executive Director of Arts Park Texas. We work with people with disabilities and really work to encourage people to get out and exercise and go enjoy all of the parks around town and throughout the state. And we're working with St. David's funding to actually create a searchable database for the parks in Travis, Bastrop, and Caldwell County that will feature the accommodations and the accessible features, so that when people with disabilities or families with kids with disabilities are planning their trips, they can go and see what's available to them at all of the parks that are out there. So delighted to be here and learn about your tool.
Excellent, thank you. Elizabeth.
Hi, I'm Elizabeth Marzek. I'm the program manager for the City of Elgin Parks and Recreation Department. We use the decision support tool for our St. David's Parks with a Purpose grant application, which we were awarded $200,000 for, and we're in the middle of building our new park playground. So it'll have a sidewalk, accessible play equipment, trees, shade, everything necessary to make a good day out.
Awesome, thank you. Lisa.
Hi, this is Lisa Hunley. I'm with the neighborhood-based group in North Austin, in one of the areas that's got a lot of folks in apartments and then pretty much pavement everywhere else. We're also the original location of the Marnie Paul Art Center, so that's actually something that we're helping to get more of into our parks. We're really aware of those barriers, that transportation barriers that all of us have, and then especially language barriers and cognitive barriers, and you know, we're all trying to go to the park.
Excellent, thank you, Lisa, welcome. Is there anyone else who might like to introduce themselves before we get started? Abena?
Abena Asante with St. David's Foundation. I'm happy to be here and excited that this tool is being used.
Thank you. We also have a couple of introductions in the chat. Gina Woodruff from Arts Park, Texas, and Dale Burke from Faith Communities and Bastrop Christian Ministerial Alliance, connected to Bastrop County Cares. So this is exciting. We have a really nice mixture of folks who are from local municipalities, and I can see the names. I recognize a lot of folks who are park adopters and park stewards. So we really welcome everybody, and I'm going to hand it back off to Kristin.
Great, thank you. All right. Thanks everyone for joining us. This is a great group of people from a bunch of different diverse places, and just happy to show you all the tool today. So next up is, see if this will, okay. So I'm going to give some background on how we created the tool that will hopefully lead into the understanding of what is in there. So the idea is we want to look across the 3-county area, the Austin, Travis, Bastrop, and Caldwell, to find opportunities to expand the park system, and specifically with multiple benefit parks. So we all know that parks are great recreation opportunities, but they're also great to help with, you know, getting people active outside, to help absorb and manage stormwater, mitigate heat islands, and we want an equitable park system. So these were the 5 topics that we decided to look at for this 3-county area. And everything in this decision support tool was guided through a steering committee. We did a bunch of community outreach, and we also convened a technical advisory team of, I think we had like 80 local experts that were all, that helped us understand how best to map each of these topics. So socioeconomic vulnerability, we're looking at you know, kind of equity and demographic characteristics of neighborhoods. Health outcomes and access to healthcare, we're looking at prevalence of diabetes and asthma and mental health issues. Flooding and water quality, we're looking at you know, stormwater runoff, flood zones. Heat islands, we actually do a really cool analysis that I'll get into in a second from satellite data. And then park access is looking at the types of parks across the 3-county area and where there is gaps in that system. So we essentially, it was this iterative process where we did modeling, data collection and modeling. We went to the technical advisory team that was actually tailored to each of these different mapping topics. And then they gave us feedback, we refined the models. We did that several times for all of these. And then we pull it all together. So this is what this looks like. We have kind of a colorization on the map of moderate, high, and very high, showing where these outcomes are the most prevalent. So community health is the first one I'll explain. We actually did a lot of different health outcomes here. So we did several things for children where we could find the data, asthma, mental health, and obesity, and then the rest of them are for adults. Prevalence data, and we actually got this from local community health centers. We acquired these data. And you can see this is, what we do is we weight and stack, right? So we kind of determine which of these factors are more important, and then we smush them all together. And with this one in particular, all of them are weighted equally because it's hard to say which is more important than another with health issues. So these are all weighted equally, and what you're seeing on the right is zip codes that have higher prevalence amongst all of these factors of health. Next is socioeconomic vulnerability. So we, our technical advisory team helped guide us into choosing these outcomes. Some of them are kind of universal across a lot of projects that we do across the country because they're EPA environmental justice screen data, low income, less than high school education, over 64, people of color, and linguistic isolation. And then we added some more that were of particular concern of the technical advisory team here in these 3 counties. And this weighting process was pretty democratic. We actually sent out a survey and people weighted it. And that's how these were all smushed together to create what you see on the right. And this is at the block group level. Flooding, and I'm going to explain where you guys can get this data or like really in-depth information about all these in a minute. So that is available for, you don't have to remember all this. The flooding and water quality, we had some great local experts help us with this. We incorporated where there's floodplains, so 100-year and 500-year flood zones. We're looking at stream and wetland buffers, road and highway runoff, erosion potential, and then we scored watersheds across the whole 3-county area based on their kind of need for green stormwater infrastructure. And finally, urban heat islands. This one, the heat islands themselves are derived from satellite data. So we're able to take information from satellites and determine how hot the temperature of the surface is, which I think is super cool. So we can determine like where heat is like really radiating across these 3 counties. And then we also look at air quality and gaps in tree canopy for that. The park access one, we looked at a lot of different factors, but just to get you all oriented, the dark green here is the parks. The gray is a 10-minute walk service area around that park. So that means people are, it's actually using the walkable street network to build these gray service areas. So anyone who lives within that gray can get to that park within a 10-minute walk. It essentially, you know, based on it being a half mile. So it might take people more time or less time, but it's a half mile around that park. The gaps in those 10-minute walk service areas are prioritized based on underlying demographic information. So this moderate, high, and very high are based on census information. And we weight the neighborhood higher for park need if there's higher low-income households, higher population density of children, and higher population density overall. And so that's why we get some areas as really in high need of parks and others as moderate and high. And where there's no priority, that's just, we know people don't live there. So then we take all of those. So essentially I just called out like 40 different data layers, right? It's super in depth. It's like mind boggling. There's plenty of documentation for people to follow up with, but so each one of them is separate. So this is like community health, socioeconomic vulnerability. This one is heat, this one's flooding, this one's park access. And we've weighted, we've combined those together to create this overall result that shows where if your priorities are equally as important across all of these and you're looking to place multi-benefit parks, then the overall priority is where you would look. And all of this will make a lot more sense when we're in the tool, looking at how it's all displayed.
Kristin, really quick, we have a question. Does the park with amenity data identify accessible amenities?
I don't think so, but we can open that up once we get in the tool and double check. Yeah, well, let me check that once we're in the tool. I don't remember collecting that data point, but we'll double check. Are there any other questions at this time?
One thing I can say, just as a, you know, I use a lot of tools like this for just for my daily work and also for writing grants. And if it's an Austin park, we have a GIS map and it does have information, I believe, about whether the amenities are accessible. Like it has information about every single park amenity within the park, and you can click on it and it will give you all the information about that amenity. So it'll say whether it's something that's accessible or not, for the most part, and it's pretty up to date. So that's just so you know, that's just on the austintexas.gov website. Is the park directory interactive GIS map. And so, you know, this is this tool that we're looking at today is really good to look at kind of general, you know, broader picture, like the area around a park and the demographics and all the detail that Kristin will go into. But if you want to look at specific amenities in Austin, you can look at that GIS map.
Awesome. Okay, so I'll just note that this tool was kind of created with a lot of use cases in mind. So it can be used for planning, it can be used for prioritization of sites with parcel level data. It can be used for funding. If you already have a project in mind, you can get an incredible amount of data about that project to relate it and be very descriptive of why it matters to move forward with the project. And it also, you know, we have, the Trust for Public Land has like incredibly powerful GIS software, right, to create all this, but not a lot of nonprofits have that. And so the Lot to Spot example that I have here, they actually use our decision support tool as their kind of in-house GIS because it's just so important to get access to this information out there without having to buy the expensive software. So with that, I will go into the decision support tool itself. And the first bit is just orienting us with slides. And then we'll actually pop over to the decision support tool. Are there any other questions or raised hands at this time?
We have one comment that's from Lisa. Similarly, on the walk score, most of our folks have fences blocking their access to a park. So the actual walk may be a mile more than the distance.
Okay, yeah, I'll address that in saying that for the 100 largest cities in the country, we actually go in and verify access points. So Austin will have verified access points for all of their parks. So that basically means that we have somebody like doing a Google Earth walk around the park and saying, this is an access point, this is an access point, this is an access point. And if you find in the Austin, well, in any of the data that an access point is actually blocked off, then please let us know and we'll change that data. But for the city of Austin itself, we verified those access points to the best of our ability. For the rest of the study area, we just don't have the time to get through and verify those access points. So those ones aren't verified, but please, if you see that there's actually a fence, then let us know and we'll update that. Okay. All right, so let's get oriented. The decision support tool landing page is here at this URL, and I'm hopefully folks have checked it out. There's a ton of information on the landing page itself. We have the mapping portal, which is what I'm going to be talking about for the remainder of the call. But we also have a story map that really explains like the community engagement aspect of it, why the mapping matters, and gives some ground context. Some PDF maps that literally can be printed on a poster and put on your house because you love them so much. Just kidding. Then the final report, which is very hefty and long, tells you everything you need to know. And then we've actually done trainings in the past, and this training video is an hour long, and so you can check back in there and see me explaining it maybe like a year ago. The user guide is really like in-depth and covers literally every aspect of the decision support tool. So when you get off this call and you're like, I forgot how to do X or Y, the user guide, it's really easy to navigate. You can skip to what you're trying to do, and it will show you exactly with screenshots and descriptions what you're trying to do. The data description table is really important. It's describes everything in the tool, every single data point. So all of that information that I just went over about the analysis results, that's in here, and it describes what we did, and it says where the data come from. And there's, beyond just the moderate, high, and very high priorities, we have a ton of extra data in the tool. So we have data that are attached to parcels, we have data that are attached to streets, right of way, and we have just a ton of other context layers that you can explore. And all of that is in here and well detailed. And if it's missing anything, always feel free to reach out to me. But that should help when you're looking at something and you're like, wait, what does this mean? This is a great resource. And again, it's located on the landing page right here. So I hope that everybody had an opportunity to log into the tool ahead of this call. We call these tools publicly accessible but password protected, and that is because the parcel data is licensed, so we have to actually keep it under a password. But there's also some functionality in the tool that is tied to a profile. So as you go through, you can save some of your work, you can bookmark things, and then when you log back in, that'll be there for you. So it's really easy. You just hit create a new account. There's a little tiny form to fill out. It sends you an email, and check your spam folder because sometimes they go into the spam folder. And once you click the link in your email, then you should be good to go. All right. That was a long way to finally get to the decision support tool, but here it is. A little bit of orientation. We have the map itself on the right side of your screen, and then the left panel has all of the different ways of interacting with the map in terms of the tools and the functionality that we have. So each of these gray bars is actually a different tool or way to interact with the map. There's also these buttons on the map itself that this is an extent button, zooming in and out, although you can also scroll, and then changing your base map so you can see satellite view or anything else. So then under this layers, gray bar is where all of the data live. So we have overlay data, which is just like all of the contextual information, and then the analysis results, which I explained earlier. So the way you do this is you click on a folder. So I just clicked on the socioeconomic vulnerability folder, it opens, and then you click on the plus sign to see the symbology. So here on the map, I'm showing the prevalence of, or the density of low-income households at the block group level. And so you can step through each one individually, and then you can also press this overall one, which again is looking at all of these together. I think I'm just gonna skip that for now. So the next piece is the overlay data. So you expand on that folder and you see these categories of information. And I have here expanded for us the community health and socioeconomic vulnerability folder of the overlay data. And again, this is pretty much the input data to the analysis results and other data that we think would be interesting for you to look at. So if you're in your neighborhood and you want to see information about demographic information, you can go in here. We also have the health data that we used in the health modeling. So you can see those, the raw percents of health prevalence there. And here I'm just showing that this is where we were just in this last slide, community health and socioeconomic vulnerability, the block group data. You can interact with the map by clicking on something, and then it's going to open up and show you all of the information that we have on that block group. And so that's going to be the case for most of these layers that are in here, that you can click on the map and it'll expand and show you a bunch more information. So there's plenty of ways to get extra info all over the place here. Okay, I'm gonna stop there and ask for questions before I go to this exercise. Okay, cool. So I actually wanted to show two more things before this exercise. Okay. So again, here's our analysis results and overlay data. Earlier, I mentioned that this overall Healthy Parks Plan priority areas is equally weighted across all of the input mapping topics. So all of them are equally weighted in this overall thing. So if you're looking for parks that, if your priorities are also equally weighted across these issues for multi-benefit parks, this makes a ton of sense to use. But we understand that some people don't care about all those things, so we included this scenario tool. So you open this, so we're here in the left pane, you open this gray bar for the scenario tool. You have to click scenario layer visible, and then you can fiddle with these scroll bars. So let's say your priorities are mostly health, but you also care about heat and socioeconomic vulnerability and park need. So as you scroll with these, you can see them change and see where priority areas start to pop up. This is something that you can save the current scenario, and then that will be available the next time you log in. The other thing that I wanted to show is, let's see, turn off all, oh, I have to turn this back off. There's functionality to make a map. So I'm gonna just make a quick map in here. I'd like to see, let's see, there's administrative boundaries. I'm gonna turn on school districts. So here's all our school districts. Again, you press the plus button to get the symbology here, and you can click to get more information. School districts, I'm gonna look at schools, and then I'm gonna look at heat islands. So now we're seeing schools in heat islands, right? And we can click on the school to get more information. So if you see this one of two, that means that there are several layers on. So you would just hit the little arrow to go back and forth between the information that you clicked on. So let's just go down here. I want to just show this draw and print functionality in case you want to save the map that you create in the next exercise. So you can draw things like here, let's say I wanted to draw a circle and then label it so it's not the most beautiful map in the universe. And then you hit print, you can name it, and then hit print, and it makes a really pretty map, which I already made one earlier. And the map shows everything on the screen. Oh, in this version I did flooding, schools and flooding. Anyways, and it has the legend items for the things that you turned on in the map. So you can see the school districts and the schools, and then the legend for that flooding layer. So, okay, now I'm gonna stop and we're gonna do a quick exercise. I'm usually in a computer lab setting for these trainings. So this is going to be a little bit different, and I hope it's not too challenging, but I'm hoping that folks can either keep the Zoom window off to one side of your screen so you can see the exercise and the tool on the right side, or you could just have the exit from the Zoom call and do the exercise and keep coming back for the next bullet point here. But there's not a whole lot to do. It's just exploring some of the layers that I think are pretty interesting. And then there's a second piece that we'll look at, but
just looking that you should be able to either kind of make your screen, if in the corner of your Zoom screen, there's the green, there's like the minimize, the yellow minimize, and then there's the green that sort of expands it or contracts it. If you contract it, then you can kind of push it over to one side and be able to see the instructions and also open up a browser, or you can just kind of go back and forth, either one. When you go back and forth, you can still see Kristin, but you won't be able to see the instructions. That's what we sort of discovered. This is a new way of doing training for all of us. So, hopefully if you can figure out a way to be able to see both, that would be ideal.
And as you're doing this exercise, feel free to raise your hand or add comment in the chat or the Q&A, and we can address any issues or questions that arise. And I think I'll give like 5 or 6 minutes for this, and then we'll move on to the next one.
And if you all have any questions at all, just, feel free, use the chat or raise your hand and I'll enable you to talk.
I'll just
Oh, hi, sorry. I'm Andy, the property manager.
maybe I'll just walk through this on screen so we can see what I'm talking about here. So sometimes if I get lost in the map, I just refresh and start over. That is easier than going through and figuring out what you've turned on. Okay, so I wanted to highlight the parks with population served. So you can turn these on, get the park type. We've broken them out based on size, essentially. And click on any park and it tells you the population served by that park. And that corresponds with the type of park that is. So a pocket neighborhood park have a 10-minute walk service area, and then community district and metropolitan have increasingly larger service areas. And then parks with amenities, can click on there and see these are the amenities that we collected for this project. We had to do a lot of data collection in Bastrop and Caldwell counties and a couple other cities that aren't Austin. So these are the ones we chose. I'm sorry that we did not do the ADA accessible ones, but maybe in the next phase we can do that. So here's our service areas. So you can see the service areas of all the parks. And then the corresponding service areas of the different park types. Put them all on, kind of cool. And then in the analysis results, just checking out that we have all these different levels of service areas. So you can have park need outside of all the service area types of the parks, which again are dynamic. So there's different service area sizes based on the size of the park and who we're expecting, how far people are going to travel to get there. And then you can just do it like for each park type or each amenity type. So this is the service areas around parks that have trails in them. And then you can see park need. So these are areas that there's a need for parks with trails specifically. And then in the next exercise, I'm just gonna have people like click on the map. You just turn data on, click on the map, and zoom through what you've clicked on to see what additional information is there. And then also use these 3 lines that are available on the analysis results and on the overlay data to do a transparency swipe. So you can kind of do that, and then a layer swipe. So you can see analysis results, swipe them on and off, or overlay data. So let's do a couple minutes to get through this guy.
Kristin, really quick, we have one question. How did you guys, from Nathaniel, how did you guys go about collecting the data?
Well, specifically for parks, we actually reached out to all of the different cities to get that information. So across the 3 counties, we work directly with cities or their park and rec department to collect that information. The parks boundaries aren't necessarily always available coming directly from city park, or these small towns may not have the resources to have their park boundaries mapped. So we have a national data set called ParkServe that we've done that data collection. We've collected ParkServe park data for all 14,000 cities and towns in the country. And so when we reached out to the local park departments, if they don't have boundary data, we can use ours, and then they just give us like an Excel sheet that says park name and the list of amenities in that park, and we merged those together. I like your question, Lisa. If I can do the layer swipe, but I'm not sure why I would want to. Yeah, I mean, it's not like an analysis step at all. It's essentially just like if you have, for example, let's do, I'm trying to think of a good example. Maybe I'm just being nerdy and I think it's just cool.
That's okay too.
Yeah. It's just sometimes the map ends up looking like this, right? So I have, what do I have on? Economically disadvantaged students. This doesn't make any sense. Let's do, maybe you want to do a green stormwater infrastructure park in specifically a place of linguistic isolation. And now you've turned on linguistic isolation analysis results and also this subwatersheds by environmental integrity index. So you can do the layer swipe to see what's underneath, because there's just so much data on here that you can say, like, okay, now I see what's going on. Like these are yellow and underneath it is the high priority analysis results. So that's what that is. Okay. Any other preguntas here? And then Celia, were you able to find the overlay data section? I can point that back out here. Again, sometimes when things get too crazy, I just hit refresh and start fresh. And then the overlay data should be one of these two. Sometimes they switch. But it's always under layers, overlay data, and expand on the folders. Okay, awesome. Let's maybe see a show of hands if people are ready to move on to the next section. Raise your hand in the, okay, and then we'll have a good idea.
It looks like most folks are ready.
Okay. then we're gonna keep cruising. The next section gets more into actual analysis stuff. And I think I'll just do this in the tool itself. So let's say you have a park that you have in mind, or an empty lot in your neighborhood that you're like, I would love to turn this into a park. So that's why we have the parcel data. So we collected all of the parcels for all 3 counties, which is a lot of data. It might not even draw at this scale. I'll zoom in. So literally every single parcel in all 3 counties, we have information about. You can click on a parcel and you can get further information about it. There's a ton. So we've created these super spiffy parcel reports. And I actually created one already that I want to go through. So, well, you click on the thing and it makes it. But also, in addition, you can enter in an address, which I'll just show. Where am I? 2300 Rosewood. So I want to go to the same parcel that I have. So you can, let's say this is something that you've been looking into. You want to go directly to that parcel. You can check it out. You can turn on the satellite base map. You can click on it, hit that create parcel profile report. And then what happens is you get, oops. This report. So this is a printable PDF report. It has a picture of the parcel that we're looking at, right? That's right here. And I'm actually going to take some time to walk through this report because they are a bit overwhelming in how much information is there. So we already see on this first page, city, county, address, parcel ID, zip code, the City of Austin Council District is included there. And then we start to get information about the parcel, like whether or not it's a park. This one already is a park. Is it vacant? How many acres? Is it a school? Who is the owner? What is the school district, etc. So in this example, let's say we know it's a park, but we have some investment that we want to plug into this park. So we're using this report to help guide our decision about what investment we want to, or what upgrade we want to give to this park. So page 2, there's some like nitty gritty, just site suitability indicators. So we're looking at 25% impervious cover, it has 12% canopy cover. So maybe we can say like, oh, maybe we want to plant more trees here. Then we have the next couple sections are specific to the analysis results. So it's how does this parcel relate to those analysis results? So the overall priority, we can actually look at this. So turn that on. It's in a bright red area for overall priority. So it's pretty high across all of those different mapping topics. Then next, this park access and level of service is not gonna come up for it because it's already a park. Allergies today. Flooding and water quality. So the way that we look at this is, I like to just look at the present part because these ones are saying like what part of the parcel itself is actually overlapping them. So we can look at this. So a portion of the parcel falls into them. And that's why you're seeing these funky numbers. But the yes, no is there. Excuse me. Oy. All right, and then whether or not it's in a heat island, so we can look at that. So again, it's in a bright red area. Total heat islands, air quality. And then similarly for health and socioeconomic vulnerability priority analysis results, you can see that it's in a high priority area for across all of the health things that we mapped, and a majority of the socioeconomic vulnerability stuff that we mapped. And then we added this last page to explain, like, okay, well, it might be in high priority of heart disease, but what does that actually mean? Or it might be in high priority for less than a high school education, but what does that actually mean in numbers? And so we've translated that here to give contextual information about the neighborhood that that parcel is in. So we have information at the block group level, people of color, low-income households, linguistically isolated households, and then the actual percent of that block group. And then same down here for the health data that we collected, and some health data that are available just for Austin, actually, these top ones. But this is available for all of the study area. So these parcel reports are incredibly complicated, or not complicated. They're super descriptive and a little intimidating at first, but if you have a project that you're working on, these are going to give you like a ton of information about that project. If you want to write a proposal for funding, these are going to be so helpful, because you can say specifically, like, this park is important because it's in a heat island, it has all of these vulnerability in the neighborhood, there's health issues, so all that. And then if you're that funding that you're trying to use at this park, you can be like, okay, well, there's all these health things, so let's address asthma through planting more canopy, let's address some of these health issues by a fitness zone, etc. So I hope that made sense. Do we have any questions about this?
We have one question from Gina. How often does this data get updated?
Yeah, so these data in here, I think, are from 2018, and we'll be going through an update process soonish. The data aren't super out of date at this point, but it's I think in the next year or so we'll be updating all this info.
I'll just say really fast, I use this tool a lot. And just as an example, we had a couple of funders who we were doing a Kaboom project, which I don't know if any of you all are familiar with that, but it's an organization that does playscape builds, big volunteer playscape builds. And they were working with another nonprofit organization that was going to be the primary funder. And so we were able to get a list of priority playscapes that needed to be replaced from the city, and then use this Healthy Parks Plan tool to overlay on that to figure out which one of those was also kind of high priority need in terms of the community, because the two nonprofits that were the Kaboom and the other nonprofit that was funding it were really interested in helping. They had their own mission of the kind, like the populations that they really wanted to support and help. And so we were able to kind of say, okay, that we know this is one that's an unfunded playscape that needs replacement, and it also meets the criteria of the mission of these organizations. And so it was super helpful, because we could present this very polished looking report that Kristin's showing you right now, that's very data driven and has lots of detail. And it's really, once you kind of mess around with the tool and get used to all the functionality, it gets kind of simpler to understand, and then but you can just literally export it as a PDF, and you have this really nice report that you didn't have to put together yourself. All the data is there. So I would say it's just hugely valuable for funding.
Awesome. Thanks. Yeah. That's the idea. Is we would love it for people to use this to really leverage the data to get funding. This is what funders like to see.
They were very impressed with it. They're like, ooh.
Right? Yeah. There's arguably too much data in it, but you never know what people are going to want to like hear from you and what their priorities are, and it helps translate your project into somebody else's priorities.
Yeah, I mean, I
across all
actually
these
think
data.
it had exactly the kind of data that this particular organization was looking for, because they're very interested in community health. And so it was a lot of health stuff, and it was also like wanting to help marginalized groups and have health issues among the population. And so it was like they had so many, able to look at all these different points of
Awesome.
need and be able to say, oh, we're going to really meet so many needs within that community. So it is a lot of data, but you know, for an organization that really wants to see that there's a lot of impact, then it can really demonstrate impact.
That's true. Cool. Well, let's just take a minute, everybody. My next exercise literally is just go into the tool, find an area of interest. Maybe you've driven past an empty lot in your neighborhood and been like, I wonder if that could be a park. Find that place and click on the parcel and generate a report and you know, learn more about that area just for a couple minutes, and then we'll dive back into this. And then actually, let me just show real quick that we have the same functionality for parcels as we do with what we call the right-of-way. So we've taken every single street in the whole study area and created this cool right-of-way layer that functions exactly the same as the parcels. So if you're looking to, you know, make the case for safer sidewalks or put in a bike trail that connects parks, you can do the same profile report for right-of-way as you can for parcels. So it's literally a wall-to-wall, every single space on the ground in these 3 counties are queryable, and you can create a report for them. If you want to select multiple right-of-way pieces, you can do that. You just go in to this top group parcel selection, and you can select multiple. Say we want to get that whole piece, and then you can hit create report, and it'll create a report for each of those right-of-ways separately. Takes a while though, so we'll skip that. Cool. So we have a new participant. So I'm going to kind of share our link again. Where is it? Here we go. So if you go here and hit the mapping portal, it'll take you to this screen. Oh, well, there's a login screen, and you have to create a login to get in.
I can share that information that you sent me about how to log in.
That would be awesome.
Hi, Janet Ruth. Let me pop that in real quick.
Oh, awesome. Thanks. And as people feel like they've figured out the parcels and right-of-way reports, just go ahead and raise your hand so we know when it's a good time to move on.
Looks like we got a little more than half of the group.
A couple more minutes.
Cool.
Moments here. Does anybody have any questions about the parcel report or right-of-way report? Okay. Let's go ahead and move to the next piece. Oh. So we have a question from Gina. What would be the reason that a parcel of, or the landowner of a parcel is unknown? So we actually collect these data from the counties themselves. So if the county doesn't have that information, then we don't either. Let's see. Yeah, it looks like next door it has the owner is the Hyde Park Baptist Church. So I think that that's just a missing data piece that we got from the county. Celia, if you can't create an account, it might be because the you have to verify through your email. So look for a email in your spam inbox that has a link. It's going to be from the Trust for Public Land, and then it'll have a link to verify your account. So I hope that helps. Okay. All right. So the next thing that I want to show is how to query the data. And this, I think, is really where the power, well, the parcel reports and this querying potential is really where the incredible power of the tool lies. It's, you know, it's a little bit of a learning curve to get used to the query tool, but it's really cool. It should be really helpful for folks. So I hope everybody can follow along with this, and we'll have a chance to do this on your own in a second. So essentially, because we have parcels and right-of-way for the entire study area, we have, you can query like every square inch of these 3 counties, which is bananas. So I'm going to show how to query the parcels. So we go into this gray bar here, the query data, and this is our query tool. So here we go to select a layer, and we choose whether we want to query the parcels or the right-of-way. And I'd like to query parcels, so I'm going to say parcels. And then we go into the select a field, and literally all of the data in the tool is in here. So it's kind of crazy. And they're all kind of chunked out into categories. So parcel characteristics, I'm going to say I want to learn, I want a parcel that is greater than 2 acres. So I hit acres, and then I have to hit this logical operator and say greater than 2. So I've just built that query, and I want to say add condition. So, and then it loads here, and the little X means that you can take it off when you want, but that is, now that's loaded. So we're going to go to the next thing. I also want it to be vacant. I'm looking for a vacant parcel. So I forgot where that is, so I'm just going to kind of cruise around until I find it. It's in site suitability, vacant. So here I click vacant, it loads, and I want it to equal yes. So the options change based on the data that you're querying. And I'm going to say add condition. So now I have acres are greater than 2, vacant equals yes. The next thing I would like is it to be owned publicly. So that is in public owner. So I'm going to say public owner equals public. That's kind of redundant, but that is the language that we ended up with here. Then I want it to correspond with the overall results of the Healthy Parks Plan. So that overall priority layer that we looked at. So all of the priority layers are here. We have the health, if you want to see if it's in a priority area for health, if you want to see if it's in an overall priority area for these socioeconomic vulnerability factors, et cetera, it's all in here. But I want it to have Healthy Parks Plan overall priority, and has overall priority yes, no equals yes. It's pretty basic. I'm just going to say run query. And this is what you get, is a bunch of blue spots on a map that show the parcels that fit those criteria. And this table that you can then kind of go through to zoom to the parcels that came up, right? If this number on the bottom says that you it says 0 to 100 of 618 results. If that says 5,000, that means you've just maxed it out. So you want to refine your query a little bit more. But let's refine our query anyways, because 618 choices is too many choices. So let's say that I work in Austin, and so I'd like this to be specifically in Austin. So I'm going to say city or town equals Austin, but all of them are here. I'm also really concerned about urban heat islands. So I'm going to go in and say, I can either choose in a heat island specifically, or I can say that it's overall heat and poor air quality priority. So that's the roll up of heat, poor canopy cover, and air quality. So I'm just going to say in a heat island. And then I also would like to find a parcel that is outside of a 10-minute walk of any other parcel. So it will be serving a community that doesn't otherwise have 10-minute walk access to a park. So that's in park access and level of service priority, outside 10-minute walk to any park, yes, no, equals yes. So then you run it again, you get a new tab, and your query will be refined. So now we're down to 111 results. And you can, if it's fewer than 20, you can hit this parcel report. It'll create the parcel report for each of the 20. You can export it as an Excel file. So I can get this whole table exported as an Excel file, and it says all kinds of information about the parcel. Or you can kind of just like pop around. So we can look at this parcel, and you know, if you turn on the parcel layer, you click on it, you can get that parcel report. Or you can just start stepping through, like, is this the parcel I want to look at or want to move forward with? And you can just start seeing how it stacks up to these different mapping topics. You can also, you know, either hit the parcel profile report to get information, or you can say, I'm just going to go into overlay data, get information about the neighborhood that it's in. So if I click on it again, that's not it. Click on it again, I get the parcel information, and then in the next stream, oh, hello. Oh, sorry, this is the school data. So I get the parcel report, and then I get information about the school. So if everybody wants to take a second to create a parcel profile report, you can just load it up with whatever information you think is interesting. You can start with like a couple factors, 3 or 4 factors, and see what that gives you, and then further refine the query. And we'll just give a couple more minutes for people to be able to do that. And again, you have the option to do that with the modeled right-of-way if that's something that you're interested in.
We have a question from Lisa asking, can you export the shapes?
No, unfortunately not. The parcel data in some cases are like licensed directly to the Trust for Public Lands, so we're not able to share them. But in the table, it should give you the parcel ID. And so then that can correspond to like the county assessor for the county that you're looking in, and you can reach out to them directly to get that parcel boundary, or you can map it. You can draw on the map, and I can actually show, that's something that I totally forgot. That's a really cool part of the tool that I want to show anyway. So let's do this parcel query real quick so I can show one more thing. So let's go back to, well, I'll give it a couple more minutes, but when people are have gone through the query, let me know if you have a question first of all, and then raise your hand when you feel good about that. All right, in the interest of time, I think I'm just going to show this last thing, and then people can ask questions. First of all, I got a question about crime, and I don't think that we were able to collect crime data. No. No, we don't have crime data in this tool.
I think that's another thing where you could sort of combine this with other data that the city provides, because I know there is crime data that Austin provides that shows like the kinds of, it'll show an area, kind of a similar sort of heat map of this is the numbers of violent crimes that happen in this area, property crimes, that sort of thing. So I think that's a good, one of those things where you kind of combine the two tools together.
Right, yeah. Yeah, and unfortunately we don't have the functionality to be able to export polygons from this. That's something that we're like working on and hopefully we can get to at some point. But yeah, I mean, you can get the polygon drawn and then try to like mock it up somewhere else. But unfortunately right now the transfer of exporting polygons from the tool hasn't made it there. It's like complicated JavaScript craziness that is beyond me. But I'm just going to show this last little thing. There's so much in this tool. It's the 10-minute walk impact report. Mind you, if you go to ParkServe, this is also available, and a little bit more functionality there. But this 10-minute walk impact report is going to show you let's say that we want to put a park here. I don't really know what this is, but let's try it. So you create project area. So you just kind of click, 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 double click to finish, name it, add access points. So people can walk into the park here and here, maybe here. Tap to run the analysis. So it's just created the service area for you. So this is the 10-minute walk around this park. And then in a second, it'll show you who lives there. So the acres are shown there. The total population served would be 2,300 people, which is 811 households. The age breakdown is that it's 30% children, 56% adults. The income is that it's 47% low income. And then race and ethnicity is here showing the percent breakdown. So it's 72% Hispanic, which is captured separately from race. So it's not going to add up to 100 across all these. And then you can hit this PDF report and get, similar to the parcel report, a printable sheet that you can then staple to the back of a proposal. And again, a similar tool to this is available in ParkServe nationwide. And actually, that one can show you what the 10-minute walk access is across a city. So 80% of a city is served, its population is within a 10-minute walk. If you build this park, you go up to 82% or something like that. But yeah, so this is pretty cool. Okay, so that kind of sums up everything that I wanted to show people today. It's totally a lot, so I'll just remind you that there's the user guide, there's a recorded training. This video has been recorded. I'm available. Again, all of these buttons have a different, the data description table is going to help you understand what data are in there. The user guide can like walk you through what you're trying to do. The training video is going to show all the things that I showed today. The story map can help tell the story to others if you want to share that. And yeah, so that is all available for people. I think it could be really cool if you guys wanted to if anybody feels like raising their hand and asking a question or a comment, we have like 6 more minutes to just kind of chat about this. I'd love to hear what you guys have to say. Can we unmute Nathaniel? Sounds like he raised his hand.
There you go, Nathaniel.
Did you want to make a comment, or was your hand just up from a previous hand raising moment?
Maybe it was up from a different, oh, he said it was a mistake.
Well, fine, I wanted to hear from you, but I'll accept that.
Yeah, I mean, there's this, it's, you know, to do one training on a tool like this that does so much is difficult, but we just really wanted for folks to have an opportunity to just kind of take a dip into it. And a lot of it for me, and it's not like these are this kind of tool is something that before I had any kind of familiarity with. It really has just been kind of playing with it, and using the user guide and using this landing page that has all this really good information, and you just kind of mess around with it a bunch and get the data you need. And it's actually really fun to see the results once you get more comfortable with it. Nathaniel is asking if the tool is available for other counties.
So this in-depth tool is not available beyond Travis, Bastrop, and Caldwell counties. If you just want to do like some basic stuff, what's the name of I live in Santa Fe, so forgive me.
Maybe
Round Rock? Let's do Round Rock.
That's in Williamson County, so that would.
Yeah, so let's look at ParkServe is going to get you a little bit of the way. We're also hoping to beef up ParkServe, but 81% of Round Rock residents live within a 10-minute walk of a park. You can see the demographic breakdown of that and how equitable it is. And then the map here is going to show you, it's essentially just the park access piece in ParkServe, but we've also added heat islands. So you can see heat islands. And again, this is available for all cities and towns across the US. And then you can do the same thing with the park evaluator, where you draw your park and it tells you who lives within a 10-minute walk. So tons of information in here, but not nearly as much as the decision support tool for those 3 counties.
Yeah, we're really fortunate to have this tool that's so focused on our area. Very thankful for everyone involved, and we're really happy to be able to have our own Healthy Parks Plan landing page on austinparks.org website where people can access all of this as well.
Awesome.
So it's been great to partner with St. David's and Asakura Robinson over the last couple of years to make this tool happen.
Yep, I'm just excited to hear that people are using it and interested in it, because it really was a big team effort to put all this together. So it makes me happy.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Let's see, we got about 3 more minutes. If anyone has any questions, feel free to ask. Otherwise, we can wrap up. And, you know, I think, you know, if you have any questions, please feel free to email me. And if it's something that, and Kristin's providing her information on the screen. So if you have questions, technical questions, please feel free to email either of us. Or if you want to email me to find out just sort of like ways that we've used it for for grant writing and things like that, I'd be happy to.
Awesome.
And Lisa said, I think it will save much time to have all this info in one place.
That's what we hope.
It really does. It really does. Occasionally, you know, like we said, with the, you know, there might be some things you're looking for that aren't there, but, you know, there's a lot of data in it that's usually really relevant when you're talking about, in particular, funding for parks and green spaces. I do think, Lisa, you're totally correct that crime data can be really important, and a lot of our parks that really have the highest need also have issues around homelessness and crime and things that that are impacting the greater community. And so, but that data is available. The city of Austin really has a lot of great data on their website. And so I think that, you know, you have all this data here that's so useful, and then you can kind of complement it with a couple of other resources. But you still have a pretty big, this is a big kind of impact piece for a lot of funding opportunities.
Right.
So, all right, well, thank you all so much for joining. Thank you, Kristin, for facilitating this training. It was super useful. I hope everyone can make good use of the tool. And again, you can access this online. We'll have it posted within the next couple of days. And then on that landing page that Kristin showed you all, there's lots of other resources. So feel free to dig into those in addition to this recorded training. And thanks for being here.
Thanks, everyone.
There's a little note for you, Kristin, there. Just want you to make sure I see it.
Oh, thank you. Yeah.
All right, thank you.
Awesome. Bye, everyone.
Everyone.